Hari Om. Welcome to day 3 of Intellectual Kshatriyas and the final day of Shravana Marathon. Over the past 29 days, we have reached out to over 4,000 plus people with an array of programs and speakers. We feel honored to have another such stalwart in our midst. But before we embark on a journey of transformation, let's begin by invoking the Almighty. Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om. The Bhumi Puja Day at Ram Janma Bhoomi is approaching, and it's an emotional and yet a proud moment for all of us. In gratitude and all the tireless souls that made this happen, I invite Yamini to chant the Nama Ramayana. Thank you, Yamini, for the lovely rendition. Today is our sadhana day for all of us. The one who made all this possible, the visionary thinker who brought us all together, whose footsteps we attempt to follow through various projects, including this Shravana Marathon, Swami Chinmayananji. It's our Gurudev's Mahasamadhi Day. As speakers, we should indeed consider this as a reminder for us to be on the spiritual journey and evolve. I welcome all of you. So today's first speaker is Dr. David Frawley, Pandit Vamadeva Shastriji. He's a Vedic teacher and an author of 40 published books on yoga, Ayurveda, and Vedic studies translated into 20 languages worldwide. He also writes on educational and civilizational concerns relative to India and Vedic culture, from ancient history to contemporary issues. He was a seeker from a very young age and spent most of his youth understanding, reading Western philosophies. But after all that he felt, there was something which was lacking. His quest took him to the East, and soon Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism were the philosophy where he found peace. His practice started with a humble pranayama, but didn't stop there. He went on to learn the Vedanta behind yoga through Shankaracharyaji's, Ramana Maharishi's, and Aurobindoji's commentaries. Vamadevaji has received a Padma Bhushan Award from the Government of India and a National Eminence Award from South India Educational Society. He is director of the American Institute of Vedic Studies in United States, which offers publications and courses in Vedic knowledge system. He frequently visits India and is associated with Vedic organizations worldwide. He is regarded as one of the pioneers in global spread of yoga and Ayurveda over the last several decades. We welcome you, Ji. Over to you.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. It is my great honor to be with all of you today. It is our morning and your evening. I'm very happy to be with Swami Mitrananda, who, as his name suggests, is the friend of all and has inspired so many of us for so many years, from the youth and upwards. And I'm very happy that he is in Ayodhya. I wish I could be in Ayodhya today myself. I was in Ayodhya for Diwali last year. Today we are from our mountain home in New Mexico, but to show how far that Sri Ram has spread, we also have a nice Hanuman temple a little more than an hour away to the north. So this awakening of Ayodhya, this Ram Janmabhoomi issue, I've been involved with a long time, and I'm very happy that it's reached its culmination and that the great Ram Mandir will finally come up again. It represents the essence of the whole Bharatiya tradition. It represents the resurgence of India's great dharmic civilization overall. It represents the triumph of India's Kshatriyas and intellectual Kshatriyas over a period of 500 years in which they never gave up, in spite of the opposition that they faced at so many different levels. So it is a civilizational awakening. I would also have to say that it is like the intellectual, spiritual independence for Bharat that was promised in 1947, but wasn't entirely delivered. It's been a long struggle, but we're very happy that this is coming up today. And I'm very happy to be at least this close to it. And Swami Mitrananda can carry on my energy and spirit to the whole event and to bring it back to me by the power of his consciousness awareness and his many devotees and his connections with so many of the great gurus and leaders who will be there. I had the honor to meet Narendra Modi ji over 20 years ago in the United States. And we have a very similar date of birth, just 4 days difference. So we also have an interconnection. And I'm very happy that he has been able to achieve this great accomplishment that previous prime ministers have not only shied away from, but have almost hidden themselves from in the process. But once you face an issue from a determined and Kshatriya and sadhu standpoint, it's done. You have finished it. It doesn't keep there forever. So this issue has now moved on. And the issue now is the reawakening of Bharat. It is a huge cultural and spiritual center in Ayodhya for the entire world. And for the Ramayana, which is the dominant story of all Asia for thousands of years. So we are very happy to see this all come out and coming forth in the next few days. Now to move on to our topic of the intellectual Kshatriya, I'll just give a short background to it. As was mentioned, I came into contact with the Yoga Vedanta teachings at a young age. I remember thinking of going to the university to learn about it. So after I had graduated from high school, I went to the University of Southern California and checked out their program. And then I went to their library and I found out that I had a better library on yoga and Vedanta than they did. Uh, so I realized I had to take another route, which was to study directly with local teachers, studying on my own, learning Sanskrit, going to India. And what I discovered was very clearly that what the Western intellectual mind had placed and said about India, Vedas, Vedanta, yoga was wrong, misleading, and often told us more about the prejudices of the West than the glory of the Vedic teachings. So that began my journey, and it compelled me to write on different topics, whether yoga, Vedanta, Ayurveda, Jyotish, or also ancient history, Vedic translations, understanding Vedanta relative to mind, psychology. And so I was put in a position that we really didn't have the books in the West. So I tried to provide, or at least help provide, some of those particular views. So you might say I had a kind of intellectual Kshatriya mission, although I never had a plan, I never had a mission, and I never was really certain what I was doing, but somehow there was a force, a guidance that came to me. And coming to India, I eventually wrote some books and other things, eventually in the West, traveled east and west, west to east to try to help spread this message of the Vedic teachings and the Sanatana Dharma overall. I remember in 1996, I was on a special program. I was doing a special tour of UK organized by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and they had me do one temple a day for a month all over the country. And as an extemporaneous speaker, the idea of an intellectual kshatriya as a term came out. So I started using that. And then later on, Sitaram Goel encouraged me to emphasize that term more, but it's an old tradition, Baudika Kshatriya. And we have to remember that they even say that the Vak is the weapon, the Ayuda, of those who are wise and of the sadhu. And there's always been an alliance of what we call Brahma and Kshatra, going back to Vedas, or the spiritual and we might say ruling powers, not as a political force, but as upholding the Dharma in the world. And all the great Vedic kings and emperors had their purohits who provided that kind of guidance for them. And what we saw in the Vedic text is the names of these purohits. For example, we have the Rishi Dirghatamas with Bharat, and we also have the Rishi Vasishta with the king Sudas and many more. So this tradition went on, and even Lord Buddha gave his guidance to various kings. And we also found that throughout history, there was a great inspiration. And there's a couple here I want to emphasize. One is Swami Vidyaranya, who founded this Vijayanagar Empire, bringing a couple of Kshatriyas back and setting that up that preserved the Hindu Sanatana Dharma and also compiled the Vedas overall. And the second one is Samartha Ramdas in Maharashtra, who was the guru of Shivaji Maharaj. And he was a great Advaitin. He set up these Hanuman centers to teach wrestling to the youth. And he also showed this alliance of the Advaita Vedanta and the Dharmic vision for India and also for the world. We found this same influence in India's independence movement with great gurus like Swami Vivekananda, whose teachings you all know, Swami Ramatirtha, who also came to the West, Sri Aurobindo, who was one of the leaders of the independence movement before he retired into his yoga, and then great teachers, including Swami Chinmayananda and Swami Dayananda of Arshavidya, and this tradition has been carried on. So what does it mean? First of all, we have to understand what is buddhi. And in this regard, we have the dosha, we have the gunas affecting the mind, sattva, rajas, and tamas. And in the Western world, we have this image or idea of the great intellectual. You have them throughout the West, Voltaire, Goethe, Shakespeare, scientist, Einstein, and so forth. But we don't have really that sadhana tradition as we have in the Vedanta for really cultivating, developing, and understanding buddhi, and establishing the sattvic buddhi as the means of connecting to Atma, Purusha, Brahman. In fact, unfortunately, most of the intellectuals in the West and most of those in the media and academia in India are dominated by a rajasic buddhi, quality of rajas bringing pride, arrogance, domination, control, and removing or going against the Sanatana or spiritual tradition of Bharat. So it's very important that we have a new Bauddhika tradition, a new cultivation of the buddhi, according to Yoga, Vedanta, Sanskrit, Viveka, Vairagya, so that the sattvic buddhi can guide Bharat, and this kind of rajasic and arrogant buddhi that has been misleading the country is pushed away. Now, all of us know we live in this very important information technology era. And what this means is that information can go out very quickly and even in a very emotional way, highlighted with videos, highlighted with name calling, even distortion and misleading information. And this particularly affects the youth who are tied into the new technology. Naturally, each generation wants to be connected to the technology and looking to the future overall. So we have a kind of new information war, a new media war with the mainstream media, with the social media. Print media has kind of moved in the background a bit. In fact, people don't read enough. And there's a lack of the sattvic buddhi and a lack of the viveka or discernment relative to the information and knowledge that comes to us. And here what we have to clearly understand is information is not intelligence. And information doesn't necessarily prove anything. It is data. And we notice how media and other people can spin the data any direction they want. The cup can be half full or half empty as per their consideration. So we need to cultivate this viveka or discernment to have a direct perception and to think for ourselves that is rooted in the tradition, that is rooted in the great gurus, ancient and today, so that we can really understand what is going on in the world and we are not misled simply by forces of information, public opinion, and all the rest of it, as we very well know. And to cultivate this sattvic buddhi and to this Bauddhika Kshatriya, we have to have the dharana shakti, or the power of attention, which is the basis of the power of concentration and meditation. It is also the basis of viveka. Viveka is the discernment we need to determine the truth from the false, self from not self, being from non-being, darkness from light, truth from falsehood, all of that, we need to have that independent judgment. So yoga, Vedanta, meditation teaches that. We need to know how to debate, how to understand our opponent's point of view, but also how to understand the distortions that are there. And here we are faced with one big problem, is that the global media, in terms of its language of discourse, is dominated by the English language, particularly, of course, in the West, but even to some extent in Bharat as well. And that we have to deal with. We need to bring more Sanskrit in. We have World Sanskrit Day. We need to emphasize the Bharatiya Sanskriti, the Bharatiya civilization, which of course connects to and is based upon the Sanskrit, because so many distorted terms are out there. Even when I remember trying to understand Vedanta, I had to run into terms like salvation and sin and virtue and monotheism and saintliness and belief and faith and God bless you and all the terminologies of the Western religions that didn't help us understand the deeper self-realization traditions of Bharat. So that is a very important factor for us to consider clarifying the language. Also, there's a lot of leftist rhetoric we have in India, even name calling that goes on. It's very important that we have a very clear language and that we challenge these distortions as they arise. I was very much involved with the ancient history issue and still am. There's very good new genetic research coming out in that field. But we see here also that the truth of what happened in ancient India was very different than what the intellectuals of the left came to their conclusions about, because they lacked the background in the knowledge, the language, the symbolism, and the traditions. So something that was easily understandable as Vedic, they could say was non-Vedic or pre-Vedic. So that ongoing battle has been going on there, but it's also been going on relative to the interpretation of the Hinduism and the Sanatana Dharma overall. In the Western world, most of the colleges that have any programs on Hinduism or that teach it have it taught by people who are non-Hindus or even who are anti-Hindus. And so the views we get there are, again, from an alien vision and a distortion overall. Now, I have to say, there has been tremendous improvement over the last more than 30 years that I have been involved in this particular issue, particularly at a level of writing and teaching. We have a younger generation of intellectual Kshatriyas coming out of India, connecting to similar voices in the West. And we have a much better media. We also have publications that support our work. And of course, we still have the great ashrams and spiritual centers like Chinmaya Mishra that are doing so much work in this area. So it's very important that we continue and develop this intellectual Kshatriya tradition, not only study of the Shastras, but study of contemporary issues, how to deal with them in a dharmic way, how to be clear and decisive in our thinking, how to give up being apologetic or defensive, or simply mindlessly equating everything. The path of truth, as Upanishads say, is as sharp as the edge of a razor. It requires tremendous insight, concentration, study, and meditation in order to follow. It is not something that everybody follows or understands. We need to communicate the Hindu Dharma and the Vedantic teachings to everyone in the world. and also make them understand its strength, uniqueness, power, and antiquity. It is the Hindu Dharma is not just one religion among many. It is the Sanatana Dharma. It holds the Rishi Yogi tradition. It holds all the mystical, healing, philosophical, psychological traditions. And it is there for all humanity, but it has to be approached with dedication, patience, sadhana, deep study of text, but also study with the gurus, pilgrimage, mantra, all the whole sadhana, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, kriya yoga, raja yoga, hatha yoga, as a way of self-realization and as the direct sharing of this truth. It's very important that Bharat as a nation awakens to its destiny as the Vishwaguru, sharing the Vedic and Dharmic traditions with the entire world, which has been its great history for several thousand years, interrupted by foreign rule. But we have to say it's very important to understand that Bharat is the only ancient civilization that has survived, that has overcome all this outside pressure to go against its ancient traditions. Greece, Rome, Iran, Persia, even China has lost its tradition. Bharat is holding on these deep dharmic traditions for all humanity and now sharing them for another century and another era, for the planetary age, for the global age. And it's very important that we use the information technology also to spread that great tradition of Bharat. So now the Sri Ram Mandir is coming up in Ayodhya, which is an amazing thing. No other ancient civilization has been able to survive and come back, although we have their echoes and their presence, whether the pagans in Europe, all the native traditions throughout the world, the older Greek, Roman, Celtic, Zoroastrian. These are also part of the deeper spiritual heritage of humanity, and they need to come out and be shared. We need to recognize the universal Dharma, which is also an understanding and respect for all of nature, ecology, all creatures. And the Sanatana Dharma is connected to the Dharma in all the lokas, all the worlds of this vast universe, which the Vedic tradition has realized is many, many billions of years old, exist on levels of matter, energy, life, intelligence, consciousness, far beyond our physical world. And so it is a wonderful time to be alive, to have this experience, to share it with all of you. And we hope that a new generation of intellectual Kshatriyas, Bhaudika Kshatriyas, can lead Bharat, can lead the world. And I'm happy to see that Chinmayananda Mission is taking a leading role there. And particularly Swami Mitrananda is guiding us for the future and has a wonderful vision of everything that we need to do. We need to just give him more support. So with these few words, I will end my talk and pass it over to our great friend, Swami Mitrananda. And let us share this awakening of Ayodhya and Sri Ram, triumph of the intellectual Kshatriya, and the first stage of a great transformation for all humanity, starting in Ayodhya, spreading to Bharat, to the entire world. Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Sri Vamdevji. What a journey that you've taken us through to our roots, to study with gurus and to study in depth and kindle the intellectual Kshatriya in us. I'm sure that we resolve to actually take that message out to the entire civilization of India. It is my honor to introduce the next speaker, Swami Mitranandaji. a dynamic disciple of Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. He serves as a spiritual teacher of Chinmaya Mission Chennai, director of national projects All India Chinmaya Yuva Kendra, and a publisher of an international youth magazine called Chinmaya Udghosh. Swamiji is an inspiring tutor, daring adventurer, vibrant speaker, creative writer, and whatnot, right? And most importantly, he is a mentor for so many youngsters around the world. And he has spearheaded so many innovative and nationwide projects like the Youth Empowerment Program or Awakening Indians to India. I think that is so very relevant today as we talk about becoming intellectual Kshatriyas. And he doesn't just stop with that. You know, he's such a powerful speaker, using tools like outdoor experiential activities, adventure, travel, car rallies, theater to convey the profound message of Vedanta, propelling an individual's hidden potential. And a very highly sought after speaker in the corporate circle, Swamiji regularly lectures on Upanishads, Gita, and many other traditional texts, traveling all across the world, attracting the attention of even the most uninterested people. Swamiji ensures that we discover the hidden potential inside us. So without wasting too much time, I invite Swami Mitranandaji.
Hari Om Namaste. Vamdevji, Hari Om Namaste. It was such a pleasure listening to you. And I will represent you here today in Ayodhya. I know how dear this place and this whole movement is to you personally. In various discussions we had, I have felt it, I know it. It was last 36 hours we were driving to come here. We drove down from Chennai to Ayodhya. And I thought, like during the pandemic, that's the most safest way of travel. You sit in your car and you keep driving. And you don't have to meet anybody else in public. So it was a very smooth, safe journey. On the outset, I must first congratulate Anand Chaitanya, Chinmaya Yuva Kendra members of Chennai, Chinmaya Mission members of Chennai for taking this brilliant initiative called Shravana Marathon. The Shravana Marathon is going on from 5th of July, that is Guru Purnima, till today. Today is the sadhana day. Today is the day when Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda took Mahasamadhi. So we call it sadhana. We observe it as sadhana day. It is called Chinmaya Aradhana. Let me tell you, I sent a message to many people, and those who haven't seen that message, I would tell you something about what Gurudev said. One young girl, when she was studying in medical college, must be just 19 or 20 years, was talking to her friends about Swami Chinmayananda. When she was talking to them, some of the girls, the medical students, young girls, they asked, what is so great about your Guru? Tell me, what is his greatness that you keep talking about him so often? So she did not know how to answer that. So she said, let me ask Gurudev only. My friends are asking, what is your greatness? So Gurudev replied to her, and that is beautiful. He said, when they ask you about my greatness, when they ask you what is so great about your Guru, you just give a most beautiful, enchanting smile and just become quiet inside. Your quietude should be so contagious that it infects the other person and he also or she also becomes quiet. If you ask anything, that is how you should represent. Meaning, what Gurudev teaches, if we are not living, it is of no use. So in this Chinmaya Aradhana day, please remember, all that he told us is to be inside, be quiet inside, and keep that enchanting smile. That will reveal everything about you, your strength, your vision, etc. So let us resolve to be that way. Coming back to our topic, intellectual Kshatriya, we can also call it Sattvic warriors or a Sattvic Kshatriya, because we had few debates on the name yesterday. So I found intellectual Kshatriya or Sattvic warrior or a Sattvic Kshatriya, whatever, we can use those terms. Personally, after listening for last couple of days, I would like to tell you people, what we should do, a Sattvic warrior or a intellectual Kshatriya should be, first must be rooted in studies. Study is very important. Study of Shastra and study of the world. We need to study both. We have to be well informed. A well informed person alone can perform better. So, study is my first point. Shastra and about samsar, both Shastra and samsar, we must study. Well informed, we will be in a position to understand things. If we are not informed, ignorance only will finish us. So for us to do well, first, a Sattvic warrior should be well informed, really studied. And once you have that kind of a study, we need strength. Strength, physical strength, easy. Do yoga, go for swimming, go for walks, go to gym. Physical strength can come. That's very easy. Mental strength is very important. Mental strength is cultivated through japa and living values. Japa and values will give us mental strength. If we do not have the mental strength, we are a weakling. We don't look forward to life. We look forward. We don't look forward. We rather exist. We rather survive. We just carry on. We are not living. We need that strength to live. So japa is very, very important. When I was listening to Vamdev ji, he referred Samartha Ramdas. I would continue further complementing that thought. Samartha Ramdas is a Sattvic warrior, an intellectual Kshatriya he was. When he was young, he moved to Varanasi and he did tapas. His tapas mainly was to do 1 crore Nama Japa. He went on with Gayatri Mantra and Nama Japa, 1 crore. That gave him the strength needed. Now imagine study of scriptures and regular practice of japa, a combination of these two gave him that strength. So Samartha Ramdas was a man empowered completely with studies and with strength. Naturally, such a person can come out with brilliant Sattvic strategies. To overcome Tamo Guna challenges, to overcome Rajo Guna challenges, we need to operate from Sattva. Understanding them, from Sattva we should strategize. Only then Tamas and Rajas can come under our control. When people around us, so we need to get to that Sattvic stage. And what a brilliant strategy Samartha Ramdas ji brought up. He started building Hanuman temples all across Maharashtra. Small Hanuman temples. And when these Hanuman temples were coming up, and naturally in Hanuman temples, he connected with physical strength, values and physical strength. So the youngsters used to go there, lift weightlifting, gym, etc. And slowly the body was coming up and he was creating values also in them. Later, many of these people who were connected to these Hanuman temples were supplied to Shivaji's army. Because Shivaji started an army. You need people with that commitment. You need people with that vision. And here was a man who could supply, and Shivaji would welcome because they are such brilliant people, already trained mentally and physically. Now it is only warfare. So they were physically strong and mentally committed, and the value systems were highly inspired. And so when the supply came, look at the strategy. So study, japa gives us strength, and with that we can come with Sattvic strategies. And with that kind of people getting into Shivaji's army regularly, supplied regularly, the rest who are watching, they also get empowered. Shivaji himself was a strategic thinker, and along with a combination of Samartha Ramdas and Shivaji, what a brilliant team that became. There's a beautiful letter. I would like you all to read this letter, but I would tell the gist of it. I mean, it is available in the Google, etc. You can Google it out. A letter Samartha Ramdas ji wrote to Shivaji. It's a beautiful letter. When Shivaji became the king of Maratha, he became the emperor. He is no more a Shivaji whom they called as a rat. Now he is Shivaji the Maharaj, the Maratha empire, Chakravarti. So Chhatrapati Shivaji, when he became the emperor, he invited Samartha Ramdas to come. for the coronation of his program. And Samartha Ramdas writes a beautiful letter to Shivaji saying, today I will not come for your coronation. You worked hard for it. You brought this up with whole thing. The public who are coming there, that day their attention should be on you. If I come there, that will get diverted. Today, the Janata, the public, their entire attention should be on you. So I will not come there and hog that limelight from you, because that attention should be on you. If I come, it would get diverted. My blessings are always there. Look at the vision, look at the selflessness. Look at the Sattvic man, a warrior. Guru Gobind Singh was also a Sattvic in mind, brilliant warrior. And this is the genuine love. Look at the love for the student. He says, today you need to be in the limelight and everybody's attention should be on you. It should not be diverted, because that coronation is such an important event that the public keeps their entire vision on the king. And so that they are more loyal to the king, more committed to the king. And he went into such details and did not go. That letter you should read. That shows the insight. So study, strength, strategy. In today's world, we need speed. We have to be really fast. If we are slow, people beat us out. We need to be fast. I'll give you one example. Sugriva, in Valmiki Ramayana, we find Sugriva, he was a man of little leisure, took things quite easy. When he got back his wife, when he forgot to, to respond to Ram immediately, it took little time. Lakshman has to raise his voice, and then Sugriv came online. When Sugriv was fired up completely, and when the Vanara Sena along with Ram reached Lanka, Sugriv saw Ravan there and immediately rushed towards Ravan. And thinking he'll fight Ravan alone. He went to fight Ravan all alone. Ravan picked him up, put him in his arm. Sugriv was hanging in Ravan's armpit. And I mean, come on, you can't get to fight emotionally. You can't. There you need a strategy, you need that vision. You can't go and take Ravan. The emotions don't work. So when he did, and finally Sugriv has to bite Ravan here, there, and then slowly slip down and escape. This is not required. Whereas you see Angad, speed. When Vanara Sena reached Lanka, first thing Ram did is, let's talk one more round of peace. And he sent, Ram sent Angad to Ravan for one more round of peace. And when Angad went there, Ravan was listening, and Angad was saying, don't underestimate our strength and our army. We have come this far. We are capable. So we are offering you a peace, not out of fear, but for real peace. Don't underestimate our strength. We can. So Ravan was not listening to it. Ravan was arrogant. He said, what can you guys do? You somehow managed to cross, we'll finish you and all that. He said, no, we have formidable warriors. We are offering peace. Ravan at that time tells, what army do you have? Most of them are monkeys and, and Ram and Lakshman, and you guys can't win. We know how to handle you on that. But of course, as he was talking, Ravan mentioned, I do know you have one monkey who was a little strong, who came here last time. One monkey who came here, he was a little powerful. We will handle him this time. He said, now this is speed. Angad's speed and thinking faster. On the spot, he said, which monkey are you talking about? So Ravan said, Hanuman, who came here. Hanuman? You're calling him a warrior? He's our errand boy. He's not a warrior, he's a good runner. So we sent him to find out if Sita is here. He's just he's our errand. Now this point was fast. Angad won the battle psychologically at that moment. This is called speed. He won the war. The entire court of Ravan got shattered, saying, the monkey whom we thought is powerful, this guy is calling him an errand boy, sending him as a long distance runner. Fast, speed. This is important. You see Angad, how he responded. And this was psychological advantage. The battle was almost won there. Please think. So we need study. A Sattvic warrior, intellectual Kshatriya needs study. Shastra and Samsar, study both. Because Shastra is for subjective growth. Samsar is for harmonious world. We need both. Japa is for strength. It gives us tremendous strength because we save the mental energy. We become strong. Study, strength, strategy. Don't rush like what Sugriv did. That doesn't work. Let us be like Samartha Ramdas. Calculated, trained, strategized, and in long run supplied a great victory. So that was strategy. And then speed. Like Angad. These are some of the qualities. There are many more, but these are some of the qualities we need. If we have this, we can handle. Like, for example, those who are trained, groomed in this Bharatiya Hindu culture, you see how these people live. Whenever I travel abroad, this I want to talk to you so that you are aware. And this is something which we can talk again and again. We can talk louder and we need everybody to hear. When I travel abroad, outside India, sometimes I meet these ambassadors of a country. I met the Indian ambassador in Philippines. I met the Indian ambassador in London, few places, and we discuss few things. And one of the questions I ask them is, how many students come here to study from India? Are you connecting them to different organizations? See, they need, because they've come from their country and here they need some roots. So it's not enough that the Indian embassy only celebrates Indian festivals there. You connect them to organizations. It could be Art of Living, it could be ISKCON, it could be Amritanandamai, it could be Chinmaya Mission, it could be Ramakrishna Mission, so many organizations. We have a global presence. Connect with them so that they're connected. Please make sure. Or bring people from these organizations and address these new students who come so that they are not lost. This is one conversation. And similarly, I ask how many of them go to post-graduation? And there again, the Indians, the Hindu numbers would be more. They come to study is more, and people who postgraduate are more from Hinduism. The Hindu students postgraduate. And some of them, and when you see when it comes to PhD, it is definitely the Hindus who are more there. When this goes on, and the ambassador is very proud telling about this, and I ask him also another question. Now, this is what I want to talk to you. I ask him, now tell me, how many Hindus are in the jails in your country? How many of them are in the prison? How many of them are in the prisons? He says, Swamiji, the number is absolutely minimum. We are the least, hardly any. Now, please think. The people who represent, who go out of our country, representing us somewhere, they live in such harmony. They merge with the existing culture of the country. They support their country. Nowhere we will find we Hindus being a pain to any civilization. We have taught the world to live in harmony. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. That is our vision always. So when these guys go out and when they live in different parts, the Hindu diaspora, if you see, is the most harmonious diaspora in the world. One of the largest diaspora today. Absolutely harmonious. People, like gel with the existing thing and they support that country to progress. They don't give them trouble. Nowhere they have been picked up saying, here is a person demanded a separate land. Here is a person demanded this, nothing. We have come here to be in your country. We support. That is the harmony and the culture in which we come. That's why our people would be so minimum in jail. This statistics is something which we need to talk about. Why? What made them that way? It is the civilization. It is the Hindu culture in which they grew up. Made them that way. So we need to have these qualities. So in this time, speed, when I'm talking about, when you get some good information, be fast. Talk about it. Put it in such a way that it is impressive. Not saying the same thing again and again, but learn to say it a little more better, little more innovatively. When we do all that, when we start making our presentation super cool, people will start noticing. We have such brilliance. We need just a beautiful, convincing heart and better presentation for people to notice. And once they notice, obviously the best cannot be ignored. Everybody will come to it. We, the custodians, have to protect, preserve, and for that we need these Sattvic warriors. So we will continuously work in developing. Personally, how should we start? Study of Shastra and Samsar, both are important. Japa for strength, Sattvic thinking, strategizing, skill, speed. These are the things we need to cultivate. If we have that, I'm sure we will do. And I'm so happy to be talking to you from a place which is very, very, very dear to all of us. Something which 500 years we waited for it and waited to get it in the right way. We did not use anything else. We waited and we waited for the court to do it. Imagine the faith in democracy. Imagine the faith in Dharma. 101.3 billion Hindus waited for 5 judges to give this verdict. Gave it to 5 men. That is the faith. And now it has come, and the world has seen, like Vamdevji just said so beautifully, that no other civilization has bounced back. Something which is ruined is ruined. It has not come back to living. It has not come back to worship. It is probably kept as a historical monument, some of the ruins. Ayodhya coming back is a brilliant sign. We must be very proud of it, because not just Ayodhya, not just Kashi, not just Mathura, there are many, many temples which are now seen as World Heritage Sites. But they were built to be worshipped. So we should slowly bring back worship. This will be a beautiful beginning to see many monuments which we have are seen as World Heritage Sites should now start bringing in. If nothing, at least we should start yoga there. If nothing, we should start meditation classes there. Something to do with those monuments. So Ayodhya is a great hope for all of us. And I'm so happy that I am here to represent Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji. He's the only one who said that time in 1992, when he was not in India, when the December 6th demolition incident happened. When he came back, they asked him, what do you have to say? He says, I admire these guys, whoever got involved in it. And he was the one who said very clearly, a temple there is a must. So I'm so happy to represent him on the coming event on 5th of August. It was lovely talking to you people. Take care, stay safe. Thank you very much. Vamdevji, thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamiji. Yes, so Sattvic warriors we will be, rooted in our Shastras and Samsar, developing our physical and mental strength through japa, and of course, act fast. We are not done as yet. We have some very interesting programs coming up, so please do stick around. We have Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth, an initiative of Chinmaya Mission, which blends the ancient and time-tested wisdom of India with present-day knowledge fields. The admissions are open for this academic year, and I request Pranav to please play the video. Thank you, Pranav. In this pandemic, some people are challenged with stress due to the lockdown and the slowdown. Chinmaya Academy of Management is conducting online sessions with eminent speakers and specialists as a service. You can register for the program by filling out the link that is being right now shared in the chat window. Now, for something very, very interesting, something very dear to me as well. The Sri Ram Janmabhoomi temple is coming up in Ayodhya after 500 years of patient wait. And August 5th being the Bhumi Puja is indeed very special to all of us Bharatiyas. To celebrate this auspicious and joyous occasion, Chinmaya Swaranjali Chennai, the music wing of Chinmaya Mission, invites every one of you to a very special session called Invoke Rama, an hour of joyful devotional bhajans. And we believe that anybody can sing, no technical training or expertise. So all that we need to do is keep our hearts open for the Lord to walk in. So do join us on August 5th, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and do bring along your family and friends as well. And let's dive into this ocean of devotion. And of course, the link is going to be shared in the chat window, so please do register. Over to Subbalakshmi.
Hari Om. Thank you, Anna. Thank you to both the speakers. On behalf of Chinmaya Mission, I thank all the wing coordinators, Chinmaya Shishu Vihar, Bal Vihar, Yuva Kendra, Swaranjali, Setukari, Sunday Pathshala, Devi Group, Study Group, Vanaprastha, Chinmaya Academy for Civil Services, and Chinmaya Academy of Management. I also thank the speakers, Chinmaya Vidyalayas in Chennai, our technical team, and all of you, the audience on Zoom and YouTube, for making this grand project happen. I thank our inspiring Acharyas, Brahmachari Anand Chaitanya Ji and Swami Mitranand Ji, for conceptualizing the idea of Shravana Marathon and helping us execute it as an offering at the lotus feet of Pujya Gurudev. As I had mentioned before, 11 wings of Chinmaya Mission Chennai have taken us on this spiritual journey. These are not mere presentations. These are opportunities for all of us to connect with our cultural root as Bharatiyas. So this is not going to be a goodbye. This is just a beginning. Do register with us. We will keep in touch. And I have shared the link of the feedback form as well to get in touch with us. And also you will be knowing about the different wings of Chinmaya Mission through this link. So now I open the chat box for all to drop in your suggestions. Yes. So I have shared it. Yes, I've opened the chat box as well. So thank you all so much for joining us, and let us all finish this day, this session with the prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all.